We're at the, a little bit noisy, but well, we're right next to the road here. But basically we're at the beach in sunny Costa Rica, and it's a black beach, and it's a beautiful day. There's not so many people here, but there's a couple fishermen. I don't know if you see them. A couple fishermen there. This is, I'm just talking about different projects that I got on the go, started up and trying to get built. One of those projects is basically seafood. I guess I'll explain a little bit. I'm from Newfoundland, Labrador, and Newfoundland, Labrador was basically built around the fishery. Our ancestors came to Newfoundland or Labrador, you know, well, my ancestors came about 200 years ago. There have been people there for thousands of years. The Dorset Eskimo, the Vikings, you know, way before Columbus, which, you know, then Columbus, or Cabot, John Cabot, two of them, one of them, took it for the Queen of England or whatever. It was theirs. But anyway, nobody owns the land, only God. He gave it to us. People just manipulates it out of our existence. But basically, what I'm trying to do is start up a work for our community. My community had 2 fish plants. And now it employed like hundreds, you know, 500,000 people almost, really. And now it has no plants. It's got a seal plant. They don't even know if that's going to open up the year. Meanwhile, the seals are out there devouring our seafood. It's amazing. You know, as a human, we eat 4 pounds a day approximately. Seals eat like an average of 20 pounds a day, each seal. There's anywhere, last time they did a study in Newfoundland, Labrador on the sealing industry was 2017 or 15, and at that time there was 7.5 million seals. So we may estimate that there's probably about 10 million seals. That's eating 20 million pounds of seafood, basically cod, shrimp, sea urchins, crabs, anything that's in the ocean the seal will eat, because it is devouring our seafood stocks. You can go to the DFO and the FFAW union site in Newfoundland, which is a crock. But anyway, they will say that the fishery crab stocks have depleted almost 50–60%. The shrimp stocks have been depleted 40, 50, 60%. I mean, it's amazing what's happening, and yet the government doesn't want to do anything about seals. But anyway, hopefully they'll take care of them soon. But what I've discovered here in Newfoundland, in Labrador, in our Bayvert area, the university, Memorial University, and the Harris Center came to the Bayvert College and North Atlantic College, and basically put on a presentation wanting a thrive for our regions, to basically build up economic development for our regions. So there was a couple of presenters came out. One was with well, we had a meeting basically with about 20–30 people showed up, and we all discussed different things. And one of the main concerns basically was food, sustainability, the fishery, and basically the mining, because our area is big in mines. 69% of the population is employed by the local mining, 2 or 3 mine sites that are there. So, so I took interest with the seafood. There was a Professor Pat Gonneau came out from Memorial University, or from Marine Institute, and did a presentation on sea urchins. So me being a diver, ex-military diver, ship's rescue diver, etc., I dove in our area, and I knew that there were sea urchins there. So I suggested, or I offered to help them if they wanted to go out and look at a few areas. And so I showed them a few areas, and they did a dive, and they were quite happy with the results. They're currently now doing their report. Should be done hopefully in the next few weeks or a month, and they'll present that to us. And so the concept basically is to purchase a small fish plant in the town of Fleur de Lys, and basically turn that into a grow-out facility for sea urchins. And then we can basically have a 9 to 12 month operation for local workers, employing 10 to 20 people. So that is kind of one of the ideas I want to put out there, is that the possibility of buying a fish plant for, we'll say, $400,000, and then another $100,000 to put the equipment in there to get it up and running. And basically we had the ability now to fill a $1 million sea urchin purchase order that I'm working on for a Chinese group. They buy seafood from Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and ship it to China. Just for example, sea cucumbers. They're processing 7.5 million pounds of sea cucumbers a season or a year. So we have a purchase order right now in the works to do $1 million worth of sea urchins for this group. So if we can get the, I guess, you know, the investors on board to look at purchasing this fish plant, which is a very clean plant. It's suitable for our requirements and our needs on this scale. There are other opportunities if we move quick enough to possibly secure another building in Fleur de Lys for a processing facility. Now with sea urchins, 50% has to be processed in Newfoundland. So basically we just take the whole sea urchin and we ship that directly the day it comes in. The other is it has to be processed, and the way that the Chinese-Japanese market is, they want the probably about 20-30 pieces of the sea urchin roe into a little wooden box. So that's where the employment comes in for processing those, because we have to have a small little assembly line and you know, 10 to 20 people packaging sea urchins, gonads is what they're called. So the potential is there, the market is there, the opportunity is there, the resource is there. It's a sustainable business. We harvest, you know, what we need. Now in Newfoundland Labrador currently there are only divers that can harvest sea urchins, but there are different methods. Basically a pot that you put on the bottom with a little bit of seaweed in it, you leave it there for 5-6 days, and then the sea urchins crawl upon it, and then you just pull them up. Due to the cold water in Newfoundland Labrador and the sea states at times, because we do have a lot of bad weather, that we can't get out daily to harvest sea urchins. So if we had a process where we can use pots, then we need to set up a recreational or a research and development fishery for our area to get that started. And then what we had also looked at doing, I already contacted Memorial University Marine Institute, because Rick Vanderhoof is the main instructor there, who I work with in offshore oil and gas and the ROV industry, to look at the possibility of having a remotely operated vehicle, ROV, underwater vehicle, as for a sea harvester. So basically we can harvest through a suction, just a hose goes down on the sea urchin and just sucks them up. So basically there's less damage than having a diver in the water. There's obviously less health risks involved because of diving, cold water hypothermia, the binge through being down in the water too long, running out of the air, etc., getting tangled up in ropes. So if we were to use a small work class ROV, basically they cost, well, I mean, you can probably get them for $100,000, a used model type of thing, up to, you know, $500,000 for a little bit advanced one with a robotic arm, etc. I used to work on basically minivan size ROVs, work class ROVs for the oil and gas industry. So yeah, so we can build one easy enough. Just got to get the funding. But that's the opportunity is sea urchins. So sea urchins, the price on the market is like $45, $250 a pound, which seems very high, but there is a potential there. The market is growing. Seafood, sushi lovers around the world. The little bit of tiny red roe, little balls that you see on your seafood, well, that's sea urchin gonads. So it's a delicacy, and the world loves them. So we have access to that pristine waters that we are surrounded by in Newfoundland Labrador, to get pristine seafood and demand the highest price per product, because we know that we have the best. There's no doubting that. I mean, the waters around the world are warming up, so seafood is migrating, and the quality is not as good as cold water, which we are. So yeah, so we're going to provide the world basically with our sea urchins and seafood from Newfoundland Labrador, and we're going to get the max price out of it. There's no more giveaways. The people need the food. and they're looking for the food, and we have the food. So let's give them the food, but not give it away. You know, we need to make a living for our own local fishermen, fisher persons, and harvesters, and we should be taking care of them first. Because one thing I'm learning in Newfoundland and Labrador, living on an island and on the isolated coasts off the North Atlantic, that you cannot get the same services as you can here. You get on a bike and easily ride down to the store and grab something. But you know, so many places, once the food comes off the shelves, that's it, we're done for. Here you can go in, look at all the coconuts, right? They're all over the place. You can survive down here on coconuts and pipa and hibiscus flowers off the trees and stuff like that. So we're not doing that in Newfoundland and Labrador. You know, we got to be, at one time we had to make our preserves, put them up for the winter. Nobody no longer does that for the most part, because we all are so dependent on the food. But yet when the food, when the ferries are stopped running in Newfoundland and Labrador for a week, we see what happens when the food's no longer on the shelves. And just the past couple of weeks, that's happened 4 or 5 times. So we need to get more food sustainability. We need more sustainable jobs. We need to get more value for our natural resources and products. And so if you're interested in the sea urchin project, yeah, send me a message. And again, we're looking for an investor that wants to put in the say $500,000 to get us up and running, and bang, we have a new business on the go in Fleur de Lys, Newfoundland, Labrador, with sea urchins. And actually, one of the things we're looking at doing is using a multiple grow out facility. So basically, we'd be growing seaweed, sea urchins, whelks, which are snails, and all in the same water, so we get the highest production we can. One of the concepts I've been learning through agriculture is that, you know, the current monoculture system that we use is devastating to our environment, and we can be more productive by growing multiple species together. So be it so that they're healthier. So if there's a disease that comes in, it can attack one thing and kill them all, but yet with something else in there, it may hinder or even eliminate that disease from taking an active role into a monoculture crop. So I'm believing that the same thing can hold through with this seafood. And there's actually a guy, Brent Smith, with 3D Ocean Farming. He's a fellow Newfoundlander, but he's now living down in New York State, I believe it is. And he puts off 3D farming. Basically, he's raising you know, seaweed, clams, mussels, and all together. And they're getting great results from that. And he's been showcasing his projects and training people for the last 5 or 10 years on this new type of technology or methods, and they're having great success. Many little farmers starting up. We could be doing the same in Newfoundland, Labrador. Yeah, so that's the sea urchins projects. If you want to know more, give me a call. Thanks.